In this video, we are mainly discussing about the sections of Indian Limitation Act. The Indian Limitation Act contained 32 chapters, and the last chapter is omitted by the Parliament of India. The first chapter contains short title extension and commencement. In an act, every first chapter contains short title extension and commencement. We are meeting a person. In first, we will ask their names, and the second chapter contains about the definition. The part first contain only two chapters: preliminary, short title extension, commencement, and the definition. The part 2 contain section 3 to 11. The limitation of suits, limitation of appeals, and limitations of applications are contained in the part 2. The section 3 of the Limitation Act 1963 says about the bar of limitation, and section 4 contains expiry of prescribed period when the court is closed. It says about when the court closes, if the period of limitation ends, the next working day will be contained as the period of limitation ends. That we will discuss in the section 4. Section 5 related about the extension of prescribed period in certain cases. In particular cases, certain cases, the period of limitation extends. The section 6 contains legal disability. Section 7 called disability of one of several persons. Section 8 related to special exceptions. And section 9 says about the continuous running of time, that the period of limitation is not ending and it is running from time to time. That is called section 9. The section 10 contains about the suit against trustees. Section 10 suit against trustees and their representatives and their trust properties. Section 11 related to suit on contracts entered into outside the territories to which the act extends. Therefore, we discussed about the section 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11. We are discussing about the part 3 of Indian Limitation Act. It says about the computation of period of limitation. Part 3 of Indian Limitation Act contains section 12 to section 24. That means exclusion of time in legal proceedings. It says that if we start a legal proceedings, the limitation period is excluded from that fixed date to another date to the ends of the litigation. The section 13 says that exclusion of time in cases where leave to sue or appeal as a pauper is applied for. If one person is applied for a pauper suit, if he applied for the leave for, that period is also exempted from computation of the period of limitation. Section 14 says that exclusion of time of proceedings bona fide in court without jurisdiction. exclusion of time of proceedings, and bona fide in the court without jurisdiction. If one plaintiff institute a suit in bona fide believe that that particular court have sufficient jurisdiction, in so that court have no jurisdiction, if that plaintiff is proceed with the suit in bona fide belief, that time is also excluded from computation of the period of limitation. The section 15 says that exclusion of time in certain other cases. In some related matters, the limitation is not counted from the other matter also. Section 16, effect of death on the or before the accrual of the right to sue. If the right to sue is not accrued, a death caused to a particular person, that time also be excluded from computation of the period of limitation. Not only that, the effect of fraud or mistake. Section 17 says the effect of fraud or the effect of mistake. Section 18 says effect of acknowledgement in writing. If the plaintiff or defendant takes some acknowledgement in writing, that period is also computed from the period of limitation. Section 19 clearly says effect of payment on the account of debtor or on the interest of legacy. Section 20 says the effect of acknowledgement or payment by another person. If one person borrowed some money and another person pays for it, that date also compute for the period of limitation. Section 21 says that effect of subsisting or adding new plaintiff or defendant. Section 22 says continuing breach of tort. Section 23 says suit for compensation for acts not actionable without special damage. Section 24. Section 24 says that computation of the time mentioned in instrument. So we are moving to the chapter 4, part 4, the acquisition of ownership by possession. Section 25 of Indian Limitation Act says that the acquisition of easement by prescription. 26 says that exclusion in favor of reversioner of servient tenant. Section 27 says that extinguishment of right to property. And part 5 is called miscellaneous. 28 is omitted. 29 is a saving clause. 30 is the provision for suit etc. for the prescribed period is shorter than the period prescribed by the Indian Limitation Act 1908. 31 is the provisions as to the barred or pending suit etc. 32 is omitted. Therefore, there are, after the scheduled periods of limitation, model specimen application for setting aside the ex parte order, and then affidavit for condonation of delay in filing the appeal against the assessment orders of sale, then tax officer. These are considered as the content of Indian Limitation Act.